A Room with a View, episode 111, Above Ground Podcast.
Disclaimer. The hosts of this podcast, Timothy Patrick and Will Foley, are by no means medical professionals. However, having lived experience with mental illness themselves, they have gained useful perspectives on common mental health issues that some of us struggle to overcome on a daily basis. By sharing their stories, they hope to create connection. By creating connection, they hope to help you find your purpose. And through purpose, we can all begin to build the foundation for positive mental health. This is Above Ground Podcast.
Are you ready to lace up your boots, throw up your horns, and jump into the pit? Then let's stomp the stigmas of mental illness. It's time for Above Ground Podcast. Now, Will Foley and Timothy Patrick.
Hey, what is up, everyone? Welcome to Above Ground Podcast.
Above Ground Podcast, because you can't serve below.
That's right. You know who that is. You down with TPP.
Yeah, you know me.
Timmy, I see you from afar, standing up in the window.
I'm here. Look.
How is your room with a view?
My
and
room.
what is your view looking upon?
What are we talking about, Will?
Dude, we're talking about the view from our windows of mental illness this week, man. A room with a view.
My view's kind of blurry, man. I don't know.
Is it blurry because you're in the throes of an event? Or are they blurry because you're not quite sure what you're looking out at? Dude, we've been doing this for 2 years now, which a few weeks ago we hit over the 2-year mark. And I'm curious to know how your views have changed, how your view of your mental illness is, how your view of others' mental illnesses are, and your view on just what is working and what's not.
Wow. Well, for me, my view on mental illness, I believe I don't think it's really altered much from what, from the 2-year mark, I guess, from when we first started this. It's still important to me. It's still a daily part of my life. So it's beyond like a passion of being like an advocate, I guess you could say, but it's just for my own mental health. I just pay attention more to it. I would say that I've learned more for sure. What's the view look like? Was that one of the ones?
Yeah.
What's the view look like? I
You
guess
think it's getting any better? You think we're getting any better?
Like
Do
us?
you think us in more general? Do you think we're getting better as a society? Do you think we're getting worse? Do you see things that you didn't see before?
Yes. I would say I would like to think we are getting better as a society based on or I guess pertaining to mental health as a whole. I think it's being talked about more, and whether or not what's being talked about is palpable. Did I say it right? Palpable. Whether it's, that's to be determined, but it's, I guess, bringing it up in general is a good thing. Having some people talk about it, and maybe even some celebrities, some bigger names, bring it up and kind of get the word out and let people know that it doesn't segregate. I think that is a positive thing.
So the communication, you think is it
I think
the
the
increase in communication
Yes, that was-
has made things better? Or do you think that they've actually maybe muddied the waters more?
Oh boy. I would say a little of both on certain ends. I think it may have muddied some of the water for some of the people that have been in the water for a while. But again, maybe just saying, having that conversation, bringing the word up more frequently to some could be possibly a beneficial thing, a positive thing. Just having the discussion and the word being said might make more people pay attention to it. I would like to think they might even have a deeper understanding or a deeper willingness to go in and understand it more and learn more.
So you think by the conversation, the waters are fresher for people to jump into and start the conversation, or do you think, or is it that the conversation is easier to start because it's more prevalent now?
Probably more prevalent, I think. But I also think that because of it, it has been talked about more. Some people may have seen it in them or someone that they love. It's like with anything, not many people are going to talk about it or to do anything about it until it affects them.
Yeah, I think that's most people aren't going to do something about anything until it affects them.
Right.
And even then, even when it does affect them and they don't realize it affects them, they still don't do anything.
There's that too.
I mean, that's,
I mean, it's something that is one we talked about letting go. We've talked about letting go a lot, but we have talked about letting go earlier, and I think that's one of the things that, like, you just need to let go, and people have their own timeline and they're going to heal on their own, or they're not, and that's not really for us to decide. It's just, I would like to see people heal. I would like to see people thrive and let them know that, they can decrease their symptoms. But if they're not ready to hear that, they're not ready to hear that.
My room, man, I'm seeing some burned out buildings on one side, which is the part of like the industrial part that's dying. And I see on the other side of my room outside, I see this beautiful like green pasture that has like a labyrinth made of stone that is in like the shape of a heart. and I see as you draw closer to one side or the other, you can see more of each side, and they come together and this where they're split off by this see-through fence that you can see that if you're looking at it from this paddock, boy, you've got a great view, but if you're looking at it from the other, boy, you're looking at shit. And I it's funny because when we first started this, and then as we've gone on and grown, there's always that part of you that, wishes you would get more likes, or wishes you would get more people to view your things, or you'd get more downloads or more listens.
Yeah.
And there's that part of me that keeps seeing that is doing the comparison negative Olympics that says, oh, well, we're not gaining any traction here or there. And then there's the other part of me that says, well, fuck, I don't care about traction anyway. We're just doing this because we need to do this, and this is what we have to do. And that's fine. I also realize too that I see certain things because that's what my news feed is going to feed me. So I wonder sometimes if there really is as much talk about it as we perceive there to be, or is it really just my news feeds feeding me the things that I'm interested in?
Well, I think
too.
I kind of was basing it on the which again, it's the people that we have met and been fortunate enough to have conversations with are in that kind of, are in the same, ocean as we are.
Well, we're all in the same ocean.
Well, I meant the mental health ocean. In the same thing as far as mental health as a whole, that we're in that pool, whatever you want to call it. Anyways, I think, with talking with them, I feel like, there's always branches out, and it just seems to be a little bit more talked about, and that's kind of what I was going off of, at least from my perception. As 2 years ago, I didn't realize that so many people were focusing on it.
Here's a question, and it just came to me when I was thinking about this. Do you think that had last year not happened, that we'd be having the discussions we're having?
Us particularly, or
I'm saying us as a society. I'm saying us. Do you think if it wasn't for this worldwide pandemic literally shutting everything down and saying, do you think that we would actually have had the chance to have the discussion, or do you think we would have just kept going on?
That's hard. I think the people in our pool probably would have continued to have the discussion, but I do think it definitely brought some more listeners. It definitely heads popped up with the whole pandemic thing, and again, maybe that's people realizing, like, hey, you know what? I have some of these feelings too, and
yeah, wanting to feel less alone, wanting to feel like
right.
Absolutely, I could see that.
Again, you don't wear a sling around your arm that says I have trauma, so it's hard for people to understand and grasp the fact that you're hurting or you have this illness that is invisible.
I don't think everybody has an illness, though.
No.
And I think we have to kind of discern that, because again, you may have anxiety, but that doesn't mean that you have a legitimate disorder.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think everybody has anxiety for lots of different reasons. Mm-hmm. But a lot of it is a lot of it is man-made.
There's a lot of good anxiety as well. Like when I say good, like it can have, it can save you in an accident or something like that. You know what I mean?
It might if you're able to use it.
Right.
I don't think that it's I don't think that anxiety, like I just speaking of like the way my glasses are. My glasses 2 years ago were a lot browner than they are now. Like I see more colors now than I did. I see more colors, and I'm able to see the shit without getting stuck in the shit a lot of times.
Nice.
Now that I wasn't able to do 2 years ago. And I also have really realized that, like, debt comes at some point for collection. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter what the debt is. It can be the smallest of debts, but it's coming to be paid off at some point. And regardless of whether that's the way you feel about yourself or it's something monumental, catastrophic, whatever that is, debt comes until the debts are paid.
Can you work off that debt, you think?
Yes, I think it depends on what the debt is. Just like credit cards. You can pay your credit cards off. The idea is to not use them again. Or to use them sparingly, or to learn. And then I think if that's what you can take from it, then I think you're 2 steps ahead of everybody else.
For sure.
Because most of us are just trying to get up the next stair without thinking about, well, if I get to this 3rd stair from here, wow, shit, I just got to do this. And so I think my view is expanded. My view is expanded about people in general. Because I was pretty, like, I could be pretty, and I can't even think of the word now, man. Like I could certainly cut myself off from a lot, just out of avoidance. But I try not to do that now, and I try not to avoid things. There's things that I am avoiding, and there's things that I do avoid, because again, you can't open up every bag in your room. You can't open up all the closets and take everything out at once and then be like, okay, well, if I look at the summer stuff, but here's the winter stuff, and then you
One
go back and
closet
forth.
at a
It's one
time.
closet at a time.
Yeah, for
so
sure.
you can't take out too many seasons worth of clothes and try to change everything all
Do
at
you
once.
think that when you look out your window, do you think that is that bus still coming around? And if it is, do you think does that bus look any different?
The bus drives. Bus drives the neighborhood every day, man. It's the neighborhood bus. That bus never leaves. I think once that bus comes to your neighborhood, that bus never stops. It's just you choose whether you get on it or not, and it also chooses. You also choose how close the corner it comes to your house. Like when I was a kid, I took the city bus everywhere, man. But city bus didn't pass my house. I had to walk to it.
Right.
I had to walk like 4.5, 5 blocks up to the city to get the bus.
Back in my day.
So it was like, well, seriously.
No, I know. It was just being funny.
So it was, and I mean, people still do. They don't
Right.
necessarily have a bus stop outside their apartment or their place of work. They got to walk to the bus. So yes, for me, the bus still drives the neighborhood. It's the neighborhood bus. However, it may not make a stop at my house, and it's not on my street right now. But it's the block over. And I see it. It goes by. He
Sure.
beeps.
He beeps.
The bus driver beeps, man, and waves. Says, well, I wish you'd get on. I miss you. And I'm like, dude, that's fucking Pennywise. He wants me to suck the red balloon, man.
Yeah.
He's like, so no.
You're like, Willie's not falling for it.
Willie's not falling for it right now because Willie's not in a spot to fall for it right now. Now, does that mean that it holds tomorrow? Does it hold next week? No, but we're not there yet.
That's fine.
We're
We
not there
concentrate-
yet,
we
man.
deal with
The
the moment.
the room looks
We deal with what's in front of us at the time.
right
man.
now, and I'm looking out the window right this minute. I'm not seeing rain. I'm not seeing snow. I'm seeing beautiful weather. Like, it's nice, it's warm, it's sunny. It's always sunny and 80 at 80 at Above Ground Podcast. I like it a little bit more humid myself because it makes my body feel a little bit better. It keeps the joints working a little bit better. The voice sounds a little bit better in the humidity. But the room definitely looks out on a street, and that street on one side is the industrial area, and some of it looks really good. Some of it's bustling, and some of it's run down, burned out, shit. And then on the other side, we have one part that's a little bit brighter than the next part, and there's variations. There's more variations than there are darkness versus light. You know what I mean? There's more variations of it, and we need variations of it.
Yeah, for sure. I was just going to say that. That's not necessarily a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
And it's how you come out of the, it's when the storm clouds come, man. It's learning how to dance in the rain and not stay in the house. It's so.
If there was, well, let's say, I'm sure there's probably more than one, but if there's one that sticks out more than another, like something that you have kind of taken or like maybe learned or gained from doing this for 2 years.
I've gained the fact, and I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this for your benefit, my benefit, and everybody else's benefit, because I'm gonna use Wayne Dyer's words. If you change what you look at, the things you look at change. If you changed what you look at, the things you look at change. So if you stop viewing the world in a negative way, then the world stops being so negative. Sure, you're going to come up against negative things, but you're not going to be susceptible to hold on to the kryptonite. You're going to see that green light going, Superman can't hold that shit, man.
Yep.
Just like Batman, he had to get over his fear of bats. Literally.
Yeah.
Literally, like in that cave, he had to get over that fear of bats, or that fear of the unknown, because those bats really just represent all our neuroses and
traumas,
and that cave is our brain, and that just, and if you can dance, If you can stay in that mad rush.
Do you think you have to for Batman, let's say, do you think you have to be able to like wield the bats or just withstand being around them and letting them?
No, dude, you don't have any control over the bats. You can only control your reaction or your response to the bats. Reacting would be hovering in the corner, covering up, saying, "Stay out of my hair, stay out of my hair." Or the response is, "I have no hair. You can't come in this. I'm standing here. Just let them." You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just
we can share this space.
We can share the space, and it's and you also have to understand that. And I mean, you also have to feel this, is that not everybody, 99.9% of people probably aren't going to get you, aren't out to get you. And again, we spend, like it said, what is it, the law of 20s or whatever it was that, at 20 years old, you think, you're afraid everybody's thinking about you. From 20 to 40, you're not thinking about anybody thinking about you. And then from 40 to 60, you realize that nobody's been thinking about you at all because they're always been thinking about themselves kind of thing. So it's like, 90%, most people just want the same things that everybody else wants.
Sure.
They want a little anonymity, not anonymity. They want a little autonomy. They want a feeling of belonging to something. They want a sense of purpose, and they want love.
They want to be heard too, right?
What's that?
I would say that they would. I think most people want to be heard as well.
Yeah, I think they
but that
want
might
a voice.
fall under like autonomy.
I think that falls under autonomy.
Yeah.
I think we also I think we also think being heard is always got to be the loudest. Like the loudest voice in the room.
Yeah.
The typical alpha bullshit. You know what I mean?
Right. No, that's a good.
Because I think that there's more strength in being quiet, and there's more. And I'm a talker, but I also talk when I'm nervous a lot.
There's definitely more strength, I think, in being quiet, being able to kind of. I don't want to say get your point across, but like kind of say what you need to say, and kind of in a positive way, useful way.
That is the way, but I don't think that a lot of
no, that's what I'm saying. It takes strength to. That's what I'm saying.
A lot of individuals can say things in a concise manner, unless you actively work on this. This stuff takes practice
and time.
Well, it takes time, but it takes more practice than it does time, because if there's one thing that we know now. In 2021, in July of 2021 or August, you know what I mean, is that we realize that connection is important to us, because not having it leaves us in a really bad spot, as we saw last year. But you don't always, and again, it's like, is proving your thought of right better or worth proving somebody wrong, or saying somebody's room isn't pink when it's isn't pink when it's pink.
Yeah, I mean,
and saying it's purple.
I get caught in that sometimes, but I will say that my intent is to it comes from a good place. Like I really wanted to, I usually in these cases I feel like I have something valuable to say, and
that doesn't necessarily mean that everybody want. Dude, that doesn't mean that people want. People necessarily need that or want to hear it.
Right. But I'm just saying it comes from a good place, not necessarily meaning that.
Well, right, but again, intention is only
right. No, I get it.
Intention without attention is masturbation. Really.
Well, that's my life.
Yeah, mine too.
What you got any takeaways? You want anything to talk about or to mention?
Well, I see the sunset in my room.
That's good.
And I see it rise. I even see the clouds and the rain, and I see the four seasons coming in and out. Like I've certainly, my view is expanded. But the best part of this is my view of me is expanded.
Nice.
About myself.
Nice.
Which is not something that I could say before. Mm-hmm. But I clearly had enough experiences now, in recent months, in recent weeks, that tell me that it's okay. It's going to be okay. I'm going to survive, and I'm going to thrive, hopefully, at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I'm beyond surviving at this
you're really
point.
Thriving
I'm really
right
thriving now, really. Because, Jordan said it. We had Jordan on for a couple episodes over the last few weeks just because Jordan is a very good friend of the show. He does the disclaimer at the beginning of the episode. And he's a good guy, and he's has an interesting relationship with us. And, it's that I get to do this all the time with people that I actually like, and people that, like, yes. And the good thing about it is that we're not the same, and we don't have the same views, and we don't even have the same idea necessarily of everything that we
that's
do.
how we learn.
But this is what makes it what
Right.
it is. And I think that most of us could use a little bit more of that in their day-to-day than all this bullshit about we have to find our tribe. Because the truth is, dude, you can find your tribe and you can hate everybody in your tribe because they're just like you. Because why the fuck do you want to associate with just people just like you?
Well,
because you don't. And
you can find your tribe, and you love that small little tribe, and they love you, and then anything outside that circle you can't really withstand. So it's
right,
like,
and you can't withstand.
Right.
And again, it's like,
I mean, that's cool if that's what people want.
but is it cool though? Is it?
If that's what they want, as long as they kind of stay themselves, they're not. You know what I mean? They're not,
I mean, yeah. If you're not affecting anybody else,
Yeah.
If you're not infecting, or anybody
Injecting.
else, then I guess you know what I mean. You're doing all right. But I like all this tribalistic shit is part of the problem is that I think we have to surround ourselves with an echo chamber, and we have to surround ourselves with the same,
Right.
it has to be the same idea all the time, because shit, if everybody wears black socks all the time and then somebody wears a pair of red socks, holy shit, what are we going to do? Like,
Yeah.
And again, that's part of the conundrum, because a lot of people want to take individualism out of things, but it's hard to take individualism out of things when we all have our own different view.
I don't think you'll ever be able to take individual out of it.
You can't, and people make it a big business to try to take the individuals
Yeah, I do.
out
I
of
get
us.
it. I see
And
what you're
then
saying.
and then there's also a business of making people individuals, because again, it's not a matter of capitalism. It's just that's really what
Right.
it is.
No, I know what you're saying. It's
It's
people abusing a system. It's people abusing.
Well, I don't know if
their-
I don't. Again, though, I don't necessarily know if selling an idea to people and people being willing to pay for it is a bad thing either, because then why would people donate to the podcast if they didn't like it? So again, you know what I mean? You just have to realize that not everybody, everybody has an agenda.
Yeah, I mean, but I mean, I don't know.
Although I did say in a past episode that I didn't have an agenda, but in reality, we really all do have an agenda.
I don't know. Yeah, but I don't think I don't think what we do necessarily is putting anyone in harm's way or anything. So, you know what I mean? Whereas as selling something, like selling snake oil to somebody, if you know that you're selling snake oil to someone and you know that this person only has $300 to their name and you're taking $200 of it.
Well, that's the negative side of
Right.
free market capitalism,
Right.
man. That's the negative side.
You're
of
right.
it.
And that's why I say I would
But
classify
again, you
that as
have to
abusing
be.
it.
But you have to be mindful of that, and we see that more now. There's way more mindful business now in 2021 than there was in the 70s. The problem
Yeah.
is that the corporations that control big industry everywhere have so much wrapped up in it that if the secret got out that you don't really need them, then
They would be losing money.
then they would be losing money. Now, and again, I fall into the negativity part on this too, because I feel like I have to have a Facebook page because it seems to be so.
But
and it's,
in your with your work, with your music,
well, again though, we justify it. So it's like, and unfortunately, some things have become so
How you gonna,
normalized,
you know what I mean?
and so part of our vernacular and so much part of our system that you have to use some of it sometimes.
Right.
So it's
see
trying
what-
to use it for better and changing the
Right.
view with it.
Right.
Without changing the view of it. I'm sorry. It's changing the view of it without changing the view in it.
in it. Okay.
Maybe.
I thought either way, I understand what you're saying.
But, and again, you have to realize that intent is a big part of it for sure. Because you can intend.
I mean, it depends on situations. You know what I mean? But
But
I think
again, intent
in general,
intent is
does-
good to
it matters,
have
that's
because it matters to that point of it needing to be, motorized to
Right.
something else.
right.
And
Right.
attuning yourself to whatever that is. But yeah, so my view has definitely become brighter, for sure. Doing this.
Excellent.
Doing this and
It's a good thing.
And continuing on, man. Continuing on.
We
2
hope-
years and counting, and the rest of this year is pretty much put together already. So, idea-wise and interview-wise and stuff. So,
We hope to brighten some views.
yeah, and if we don't brighten them and we shit on yours, well, then let us know we shit on it, because I'd love to have a conversation with you and find out just how bright your fucking glasses are. So, that's a call to action. You got a problem with us? Then write us. Tell us.
There you
Give
go.
a fuck. Tell us. That's what we want. Sometimes you need some tough love.
Bueller.
Bueller.
On that note, see y'all next week.
Be well.
Be safe.
Be.
Bye.
Bye.